Are you bored in quarantine and would just like to travel again? Have you finally ran out of things to do when you're bored? Lockdown will end up soon, and we can already see signs how tourist destinations around the world are getting ready. Now is the best time to prepare for your next trip. With this video, I want to help you select your next amazing destination. I will show you top 10 cities in Europe you should visit right after lockdown. They are the most beautiful, most popular and most expensive tourist destinations in Europe. But after lockdown, they won't be packed with people and they will offer some great deals. Keep watching so you won't miss these unique travel opportunities, as they won't last long. Hi, I'm Rock and I'm a tour guide. In this video, I'll share with you 10 best places to visit in Europe as soon as the current global health crisis ends. If you're like me and you can't wait to travel again, click on the like button under this video. The most beautiful and the most impressive cities in Europe have attracted more and more tourists each year. Many European tourist destinations experience serious problems due to over-tourism. But because of global health crisis, amazing European cities will be great travel opportunity once they're declared to be safe again. Many people will postpone their travel plans for a year or two. Now you will finally have a chance to see the most beautiful and most popular cities in Europe without massive crowds and high prices. But before I present you top 10 European cities, I want to be absolutely clear that at the moment of making this video, it is not allowed to travel around Europe due to global pandemic. You should follow the guidelines suggested by the World Health Organization, government authorities and other health organizations. I absolutely do not recommend you to visit any of these places before officials and experts declare them to be safe again. London is capital of United Kingdom and one of few places where one of world's most modern cities is mixed with rich history dating back to Roman times. It has many world-famous attractions like the Tower Bridge, imposing Houses of Parliament, the iconic Big Ben Clock Tower, Westminster Abbey, Buckingham Palace, and many other great places. No wonder that London became popular and expensive tourist destination. Population of London is about 8.9 million and the city was visited by around 20 million tourists per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 2.25 tourists per inhabitant, and that places London on 10th place on this list. Capital of Germany is a buzzing metropolis with diverse history, famous nightlife and great beer culture. On Museum Island, you can find some of the best museums in the world. The Reichstag, Brandenburg Gate, the Cathedral, Television Tower and other famous buildings offer very diverse architectural experience with fascinating stories. Turbulent and interesting recent history around Berlin Wall just adds to the overall charm. Berlin has about 3.7 million inhabitants and was visited by 15 million tourists a year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 4 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Berlin on 9th place on this list. Unfortunately, Italy is among the countries that were affected the most by the global health crisis. Its capital city, Rome, has amazing history, originating from one of the biggest and most influential empires in human history. Rome has many impressive monuments and archaeological sites, world-famous attractions like Colosseum, Forum Romanum, Trevi Fountain, Parthenon, Vatican City, and many others. Rome has about 2.9 million inhabitants and it has attracted about 15.2 million tourists per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 5.2 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Rome on 8th place on this list. Capital of Czech Republic is known as the city of 1,000 spires, and it is one of Europe's architectural gems. Prague offers Gothic, Baroque and Renaissance architecture preserved like it's from a time capsule. Prague has one of the biggest castles in the world. It also has world-famous astronomical clock, amazing Charles Bridge, many old breweries and lively nightlife. The city has about 1.3 million inhabitants and has attracted around 7 million tourists per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 5.4 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Prague on 7th place on this list. French capital is known to be the most romantic city in the world. It has the iconic Eiffel Tower, famous Notre Dame Cathedral, one of the most spectacular museums, the Louvre, and famous Champs-Élysées Avenue. French capital, with 2.1 million inhabitants, attracted about 19 million foreign visitors a year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 9 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Paris on 6th place on this list. 17th century canals of Amsterdam and its ring of fortifications are on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Red light district, its art legacy, unique drug laws and famous nightlife add to the attraction of Amsterdam. Over-tourism in the historic center of Amsterdam was packing about 9 million tourists per year in an area that is home to only 850,000 people. A ratio between number of tourists and population was about 11.25 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Amsterdam on 5th place on this list. Unfortunately, Spain is also among the countries affected the most by the world health crisis. Its second biggest city, Barcelona, hosted 1992 Olympic Games. Barcelona is home of most unusual and spectacular church in the world, Sagrada Familia, and offers other architectural masterpieces. It has famous beach, amazing medieval quarter, and vibrant atmosphere. As capital of Spanish region of Catalonia, Barcelona has about 1.6 million people. It attracted around 20 million tourists per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 12.5 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Barcelona on 4th place on this list. If you're interested in visiting Barcelona, check out my complete Barcelona travel guide. Florence is the birthplace of the Renaissance. It is full of history, art, and beautiful architecture. Florence houses one of the most famous art galleries in the world, the Uffizi Gallery. It also has one of the most famous statues in the world, Michelangelo's David, and one of the most famous cathedrals with its amazing dome. The city has about 380,000 people and it has attracted around 5 million tourists per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 13.1 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Florence on 3rd place on this list. Dubrovnik is known to be Pearl of Adriatic on famous Croatian coastline. It has dramatically gained its popularity thanks to the Game of Thrones series that was filmed here. Small town with population of only 42,000 people is world famous for its mighty medieval city walls and its stone-made historic core. In recent years, cruise ships has increased the number of tourists that reached 1.3 million visitors a year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 31 tourists per inhabitant, and that places Dubrovnik on second place on this list. On many different occasions, Venice has been declared to be the most beautiful city in the world. Built on more than 100 small islands in a lagoon in Adriatic Sea, it has no roads, just canals. The entire city of Venice has a population of about 280,000, but the historic core has a population of only 50,000 citizens. And that small historic core attracts around 25 million visitors per year. Ratio between number of tourists and population was about 89 tourists per inhabitant. That made Venice the worst case of over-tourism in the world. That also means that Venice will represent the best opportunity to visit after the health crisis. And that is why Venice is number one on this list. But you should also keep in mind that Italy is among the countries that were affected the most by this crisis, and it may take a little bit longer until its beautiful cities will be safe again. If any of these European cities is on your bucket list, then this will be your best opportunity to visit them. First, wait until officials and authorities declare them to be safe again. But once they are safe, don't wait for too long, as I hope we will never get another chance like this again. If you want to learn more about great travel deals after lockdown, watch my video titled After Lockdown, Travel Immediately. Let me know in the comments below which city would you pick for a visit. And don't forget to subscribe and hit on the bell icon to be notified about my new travel videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.